So welcome back. We are grateful that you come to join with us here today at Finding the More Ministries. And we are doing our moving forward for the month. And today we are on the road. So we're not in the house. We're not in a home studio. And so we are at the Dallas Christian Ministries. And I am with Leah. And she is the director here.
Yes,
is that correct?
the executive director.
So she is the director here at Dallas Christian Ministries. And for those that don't know about Dallas Christian Ministries, you're going to be thinking, Dallas, Texas? No. Let me correct everything right now. We're in the big town of Dallas, North Carolina.
That's right.
The big town. It's growing, but it's nowhere close to the Texas version of
That's
it.
right.
I mean, it's a great place. This is a ministry that's been here for quite a long time.
Yeah, long time.
And so I'm just going to let Leah introduce herself and just kind of tell the folks, what she does here, and then we'll just kind of talk through some things.
Okay, yeah. So my name's Leah Hedgepath. I'm the executive director here, and I am actually fourth generation executive director. So when the ministry started, it actually started as a small Christmas program in 1986.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then all of the Dallas churches around was kind of given to this program, but they noticed that the need was greater than it just Christmas time, that these families needed support through the year. And so instead of having a pantry at this church, a clothes closet at this church, we'll just put it together.
Sure.
And so in 1999, we became a nonprofit 501c3. And my great-grandmother, Betty Summit, was the first director.
Okay, yeah.
Then my grandmother, Tony Long, took over. Then my mother, Julie Pettis. And then now it's me. So I'm fourth generation. It's in my blood for sure.
It's in your blood. So.
It's my passion. And it's definitely my calling for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Talking about callings and stuff, sometimes when you're working in a ministry and maybe it's not what God's put you in a ministry to do, it becomes a chore. But when it's a calling, it's something that you look forward to doing.
Right.
And, when you see the results of what God's doing through the giving of people and stuff, that's just me speaking personally. When I see God doing stuff, I get excited about that.
Yes.
I really do.
It's almost like a renewal of your
That's
spirit.
Right.
And you have to have that when you work in ministry, because ministry is very hard work.
Yes, it is.
Especially in crisis, because crisis never stops.
That's right.
And there's not a time frame for crisis. So it can happen at any time, day or night.
Yeah.
And, working in a ministry like this, it does take its toll on you sometimes.
I'm sure it does.
So that renewal of your spirit and just seeing God work, that makes a big, big difference.
Okay.
And here, it's daily that it is in your face that God is moving and working.
That's fantastic. I want to kind of go back just a little bit. You was talking about 4 generations, and I had the privilege of knowing your grandmother, Tony, and got a chance to serve with her at Emmanuel Church and played music with her, and so she's such a kind. She's just a kind lady, and when she told me, she said, I'm down here at the Dallas Christian Ministries, and it's kind of what we do, and I thought, man, that's pretty awesome, And she was always working and trying to help folks and be a friend to people, and it's great to see it just continuing along through families, and who knows, maybe another generation or two come through this if the Lord so tarries, and but just being able to help folks and to give them assistance in time of need. Sometimes we think about, as a pastor, I think about sometimes that, I stand and I give a word and I'm helping somebody as far as like from a psychological side of things. But a lot of times folks don't realize that ministry is a hands-on thing.
That's right, yes.
And what you guys are doing here is a hands-on
very hands-on
ministry.
Yes.
Just like you said that you see a lot of folks come through, I'm sure, with crisis. Can you? I know you're not going to divulge anybody's names or anything to that effect, but tell me a little bit about what crisis looks like that comes through here.
So one of the major stories that comes to my mind is we have a young mother. She lost her son in a very tragic accident. And less than 6 months later, she lost her daughter in another extremely tragic accident.
Wow.
After that, mentally, she just could not function.
Wow.
And when I think about if I was to lose my child,
sure,
how would I even cope?
Right.
And she just not only lost one, but 2 children. And she came to us and said, I'm struggling. And so we actually let her volunteer here.
Okay.
And so she came in and she volunteered for a little bit just to get her out of the house, give her something to do.
Yeah.
We were able to minister to her and helped her get out of that dark spot. But she is still really struggling.
Yeah.
She ended up losing her home. And she's now enrolled in our homeless program.
Wow.
And a lot of people think of homeless and they think of drugs and they think of the person putting themselves in that situation.
Sure,
but there are some situations where life just hits so hard.
Yeah.
And it's such a sad situation, especially when there's no drugs, no alcohol.
Yeah.
And it's just a family or an individual that's just trying to make it.
Right, right.
And we have several of those. Yeah. So when I think about, it's not just crisis, but it's almost a crisis of the heart.
Yeah.
And so I think about it that way too. And, we serve a lot of people. We are capable of serving up to 400 families in a 3-hour period with food.
Wow.
And there are days we hit that number. Wow. And we are seeing a difference right now in the people that used to give and donate. They're the people that's coming through the line asking for help.
Wow.
We've had such a huge increase of people that's never asked for help before coming through. And that's what we're seeing. A lot of people think, well, it's the same people every day, but it is not. There is a lot of people that never asked for help before, and they have to lay down their pride and ask. And that's the biggest thing. A lot of people just don't like asking, and they get to the lowest point before they ask for help, when if they could have asked for a help or a hand, before it got to that point, it may have affected the outcome.
So the economy kind of drives a lot of this.
Oh, of course,
when prices of groceries go up,
right,
you can get less, and depending on how many's in your home, that could be a major stretch.
That's right. And we're doing our Christmas program right now, and we have kids who are asking for soap, washcloths, and food for their home.
Wow.
And that's their Christmas list.
Yeah.
We have, most of our clients have food stamps. They get EBT. But on food stamps, you can only buy food.
That's right.
You can't buy soap. You can't buy shampoo. You can't buy toilet paper. You can't buy the necessities.
Right.
And so we have several that, they decide, am I going to buy my medicine this month, or am I going to buy the essentials for my household this month?
Right. And when it gets hard like that, it has a psychological aspect to it as well. And when you feed people with things that they need as far as physically, it can lift the spirit.
That's right. Yeah.
So what you guys are doing here, in my opinion, is just, it's a miracle to some folks. Because I think about a lot of times, what if this wasn't here? What would happen?
Right.
Where would these people go? How would they survive?
Right.
And it's an absolute blessing that you guys are in this community, and that there's so many loving and giving people that will give to the ministry as well.
Yes.
And so I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about what that looks like when I know there's churches that give.
Right.
There's individuals, I'm sure, that give. And so tell me a little bit about what that looks like.
Right. So when we started, it was primarily funded by the churches. And then when we got into the 501c3, we got into government funding. We apply for grants. So we do get grants through the year. But our biggest thing is just individuals, businesses, churches donating to us. And not just money, but bringing food by. We have churches that do canned drives, schools that do canned drives. All that is so helpful. So not just monetary, but things.
Sure.
And soap, deodorant, toilet paper, cleaning supplies. That is huge.
Those are things I don't really think a lot about. You think about this being a
food pantry,
food. But you don't really think about those toilet papers and those types of things. But that's a big need too.
It's a huge need. And we have a low income senior program. We have 165 of our county's lowest income seniors. These seniors are living off of $700 a month.
Wow.
So most of their rent is double that.
Sure.
And so when we help them through the month, the main thing they ask for is cleaning supplies, soap and toilet paper.
Wow.
Because they can't afford it. They just cannot afford it. And so if we can help them with that and take that burden off of them, then, you know, I mean, it really, it has a effect on everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, the scripture teaches us that, you know, we've got to take care of the least of these.
Right.
You know, we've got to make sure that we are looking after those that are in need, that are struggling, because that's being the hands and feet of Jesus.
That's right.
And that's what Jesus' ministry was all about. It was about, you know, him helping those who couldn't help themselves. And I even think about that in relation to salvation, and how that, you know, Jesus, he helped us in a way we couldn't help ourselves either, by giving himself as a sacrificial lamb. And so as we go through this life and we have opportunities, there's always an opportunity here to be able to give and to affect your community. And you know, I think about it this way, as being a pastor myself. Sometimes you don't know what to do. You know what I mean?
A lot of times.
There's a lot of times you're thinking, how can I get involved? What can I do? Who can I give to? And I'm just going to say, this is a trustworthy ministry. It is one that has been here for a long time. It has helped a lot of people. I don't live very far from here, so I can come by on Tuesdays. I think it's Tuesdays, right? Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'll see the cars lined up, and I'll see the volunteers in the parking lot, and they're rolling carts out. They're giving out supplies, needs, food, and I think to myself, that's what it's about. So if you want to give, and you don't know what to do, bring it down here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll take. What are some things they can
take? You know, we have 42 volunteers that work with us. We have a great group, but it takes every single one of us, because it is a big production when we're here. I mean, we will have cars. You see, they're wrapped around the block. And so it takes every one of us, and we've just become such a great team. I'm very, very blessed with the group of volunteers that I have right now. Could not do it without them, for sure. But you know, it's just what you were saying reminds me of a scripture that talks about there's always going to be need. I can't remember. I think it's in Ephesians somewhere.
Yeah, Jesus said that we would always have the poor with us.
The poor will always be with us.
That's right.
It was back then, it's now, it's going to be in the future. And so we just feel like it's our job to serve the best that we can, and try to meet that need as best we can, to move on to the next need, because there's always going to be another one.
There's always going to be a need somewhere. There's always, like you said at the very beginning of this, there's always a crisis somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
And if we can help in any capacity, that's what we need to do. Whether it be here or wherever you're serving, the biggest thing is we need to be available. You know, just be available people, so that God can use us in a great way. And I tell you, I greatly appreciate what you guys are doing here. And so let me ask this here for any of the local churches that may be watching, or local ministries, if a team wanted to come and just help you guys.
Oh, that would be
How
wonderful.
would that work? What would that look like for you?
Yeah, so if anybody wants to come and volunteer, especially if it's a group, you can just reach out, and we always have projects, and we can coordinate that. That would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We can use as much help as we can get.
Okay. Well, good then. That's good to know, and hopefully, you know, the folks that this reaches, it'll kind of put a bug in their ear, and they'll get some folks down here to help you out. So just kind of covering a lot of those things. If folks wanted to bring supplies in, say personally, when's the best time to do that?
The best time to bring donations by would be Monday or Wednesday between 11 and 1. We're not doing food distribution then, so the parking lot's empty. We do food distribution every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 12, and you're welcome to drop things off then. But it is a little chaotic in our parking lot. It's a lot of things going on. And then we know that people work during those times, so you can always call and schedule a time. We'll be happy to meet, have a volunteer come and meet up.
So that's a great opportunity for you to be able to drop some things off. And what are your biggest needs currently?
Currently, our biggest need is canned food, of course. This time of year, with it being colder, we ask for things like soup and crackers. We ask for pop top cans for the homeless, because they don't always have a can opener.
Sure.
Things like ravioli, spaghetti and sauce, that can be a meal for a family. We try to think in those terms.
Okay.
So things like that. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And
Very
then
good.
for our other programs, we are always accepting new clothing for our homeless and blankets.
Yeah.
And then hygiene items always are a huge deal. Even feminine hygiene, diapers, wipes. Those are just things that a lot of people can't afford. So.
Sure. And as far as like the clothing, you want new items coming in.
Yes.
So yeah, I completely understand that.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you want to bring those things in, that'd be great as well.
Yes, hats and gloves, socks. Yes.
Yeah, and I know you guys have a Christmas program here as well, and some of our folks at our church had adopted some folks, and I was able to drop some things off today, and so that was always fun. Our young adults ministry each year we get together and we all go shopping at one time for this.
That's
It's
fun.
just we make a day out of it. It's just a lot of fun.
Yes.
And so
it's so helpful.
Yeah.
This
is there still needs?
Oh yes, this year we have more families signed up than we've ever had. We usually have around 180 that sign up. We're well over 200 already.
Okay.
And we have over 115 kids still available for sponsorship right now as of today.
Wow. Okay.
And it, I have a lot of people. It's like, I don't know if I can sponsor a child, but even to drop off a pair of shoes.
Sure.
Because when I say that God shows up, that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
We can be working on something and be like, God, we need a size 10 shoe for this boy. That is what he needs. He's got holes in his shoes. And the next knock on the door will be a pair of size 10 shoes.
Amen.
And it's constant.
Yeah.
I have volunteers that's like, I come here to get filled.
Sure.
To watch God work, because sometimes it's so in your face. It's so undeniable.
Yeah.
I get emotional about it. Because it's just like when he says he will supply your needs, that is 100% what happens here.
Yeah.
100%. Absolutely.
Man, it is so exciting to see folks excited about Jesus and what he's doing. And I can see the excitement and the joy that you have in your heart and in your voice here. And that to me, that's just, that says it all.
I love it.
Really does.
I do love it. I know 1000% it's my calling, and there's some days where I'm like, why me?
Yeah,
I'm sure you get that.
Oh yeah.
Whether you're a pastor, a churchgoer, or what, you have a calling on your life, and I really feel like this is mine for sure.
When it really gets hard, then God does something.
Yes.
And you say, well, there's the reason, Lord.
Right.
That's why I made
and like I say, it's a renewal of the spirit, and it really helps to keep you on focus, and this is what we do it for.
Right.
Right. And there may be a day where I'm just feeling so like, are we making a difference? And then a person will come in and be like, just wanted to tell you that you saved my life. Like, we've actually had people say, I was going to go home and commit suicide. Wow. But your volunteer sat down with me and talked with me and smiled at me. It was the only smile I've had all day. We don't realize we're not changing lives, we're saving lives.
Sure.
And so, sometimes I feel like we're just reports and numbers and how many people are we helping, but to these people, we're a lifeline.
Absolutely.
And we have to remember that, and we have to keep that forefront.
Sure. Yeah. That's right. And, like you may mention something here that somebody may say, hey, look, I can't sponsor a whole kid, for Christmas. Maybe they're struggling themselves, but they want to do something.
Right.
One way that I just personally, I think that people could help is let's get a group of people together. Let's get 4 or 5 people and say, hey, look, I want to sponsor a kid.
Yes.
This kid wants a pair of shoes. Well, I'll take care of the shoes. Or this kid wants a bike. Well, I'll go get the bike.
Yes.
And just
that's a great way to look
do
at
it that way.
It makes it more simple.
Yeah.
6 or 7 people each pick up one item a piece.
Yeah. And then there's some folks out there who could probably sponsor 4 or 5 kids.
Right.
And for those folks, we greatly appreciate that as well. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. So, the ministry's doing great things. And so tell us how we can connect with you as far as Facebook.
Right. So our Facebook is probably our biggest social media. I go live every Thursday and try to show a little bit of what we do.
Yeah.
You know, we feel like we're not doing anything special, but when people tune in and watch, they're like, wow, I didn't realize that it worked like that. And so they're just interested in seeing behind the scenes. But I'll go live every Thursday and kind of give updates.
Yeah.
And you can always find out information about us on our social media and our website, DallasChristianMinistry.org.
Okay.
Yes. And so I would like to tell you something so wonderful that has happened to our ministry just in this past week.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to try to do it without being too emotional. As a teenager, going down the road with my grandmother, driving past this building before we were moved into this building, it was an auto paint store. Yeah. And it was empty for a little while. And so every time we would ride by, my grandmother would put her hand against the window. She said, God, provide us that building. Lord, just give us that building. If you can just provide us that building. So here we are in the building that she prayed for. And we actually have the opportunity now to purchase this building.
Well, praise the Lord.
So we will be purchasing the building that God provided for us.
Ain't that something?
And it's been 15 years we've been in here.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it as a board. What should we do? Because rent just kept going up, and you know, and there's no better location than where we are. And God just worked this out. Yeah. And the landlord actually contacted us.
Wow.
And presented better than what we could have asked for.
That's awesome.
And God is just moving in such amazing ways.
Yeah.
So we will be rolling out our Forever Home campaign after the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So anyone that wants to donate to that, to help us purchase this building, to help keep our rent costs down, because that's money that can go right back out into the community.
That's right.
And that's what we plan on doing with it.
That's fantastic.
And so we are beyond thrilled.
I know you are.
To even have this opportunity presented, because we thought we would never be able to purchase this property. And so to have this and to say this is ours, you know, we do mighty things out of this small little building.
That's right.
So I'm so happy, and I can't imagine what my grandmother would think. I know she would just be completely thrilled. But
I know she would.
When we had our board meeting and we discussed purchase, it was almost a worship.
I'm sure it was.
I couldn't even hardly contain myself with my emotions, because, you know, you pray so hard and so long for something, and then, you know, you hear about it. Yeah. It might be years. Yeah. It might be an unanswered prayer that you don't know is the prayer.
That's right.
The answer to the prayer. But to see a prayer come to fruition like 15 years later, that's my grandmother's heart, my grandmother's prayer that continued to be mine. It's just amazing. I'm
just
beyond
watching
thrilled.
God move. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when that campaign rolls out, you know, I'm just going to encourage those who are watching today, you know, just, you know, save your pennies up.
That's right.
You know, take
every
your dollars, and
helps.
every dollar will help.
That's
and,
right.
You know, if you want to be a part of something that God's doing, you know, I say this quote a lot of times, and Henry Blackaby, who wrote Experiencing God, one of the quotes that he has in his book there, it says, you know, God's working all around us. We just have to figure out how to get in. And so God's working right here. So if you want to get in, there's a place to get in.
That's right.
And God will use you to help other people.
Yes,
you may never know these people. You may never ever meet any of them, but God's keeping record, and He takes account for those who help those who can't help themselves. And so, but yeah, Leah, I appreciate you letting me just sit with you for a little while. And you have blessed my heart today. And I've really felt the presence of the Lord here. And I just want to say thank you for just this opportunity to share this ministry here with our community and our Finding the More team and family and stuff. And so we're just going to close this out. And I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of the video today, and just join us at Finding the More Ministries, and you can see some of the up and coming things we have going on. And of course, Dallas Christian Ministries, get involved how you can here. And until next time, let's keep moving forward.